Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's murder count tops 600. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 2nd January 2023. Details when we return.
Win prizes weekly with the Dutch Lady Christmas promotion. You can win hampers, kitchen appliances, and much more. Here's how to win. Visit our Facebook and Instagram pages weekly to retrieve the recipe. Follow the recipe. Submit the final dish via email at dlchristmaspromotion@gmail.com, along with proof of purchase of Dutch Lady UHT or 410 evaporated milk. Recipes will be judged based on the display. Winners will be selected each week to battle for the grand prize in a live cooking show hosted by the creative chef. Look out for the Dutch Lady Santa Claus at supermarkets island-wide. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 21st, 2022. And once again, we'd like to congratulate the winner of last year's Dutch Lady Christmas promotion, Miss Brianna Bihari. Dutch Lady Milk, proudly distributed by Hubbard's Agency.
Welcome back. It's official. The country's murder toll reaches a record 600, one day before the end of the year. However, the statistics provided by the police service do not mean that only 600 people have been killed for 2022. In fact, at least 30 other cases are currently unclassified or are before the coroner's inquest. Those cases do not include homicides classified as manslaughter. TV6's Renessa Cutting tells us more.
The murder toll is now at 600 with the killing of a man in Central. But the TTPS explains that more than 600 people have been killed for the year thus far, as there were 5 deaths which were classified as manslaughter, 11 cases which have been sent for a coroner's inquest, and a total of 19 which remain unclassified at this time.
What we classify as murder would be the intentional killing of another human being, right? So, murders, deaths that are classified as manslaughter, and they are deaths that are sent to the inquest court to determine which the severity or what is the cause of death. Those deaths are not classified as murders at the CAPA branch. So we have inquest, we have manslaughter, and we also have some that are not yet classified, where the cause of death sometimes, or we find a body somewhere that the cause of death may not have been ascertained as yet, and those deaths are not counted in the overall murder figure.
Of the 600 murder victims, a total of 543 were male. And while gang and drug activity accounts for the majority of murders, these crimes only account for just over half of all murders.
Like altercations, where your neighbor and yourself might have an altercation, it might result in a fight, it might result in somebody being starved or something, and the person subsequently died. So we have those classification as altercation. Then we have the domestic violence issues, where we may have a murder-suicide, we may have a husband being abusive to his wife and it ends in or results in death. Husband, it may be brother and sister, as we say, domestic violence would be any familiar relationship. So we have those that are classified under the domestic violence heading. We also have revenge, and we have robbery, sometimes during the execution of a robbery.
The country's 599th murder victim is a 67-year-old man, Robin Surgising, whose body was found in his vehicle in Valencia on Thursday. Surgising of Lac Patch Road in El Dorado was discovered in a Nissan Frontier vehicle which was parked along Plantation Road in Valencia. He appeared to have been shot multiple times. Surgising is said to have had a garden in the area which he tended to on a regular basis. Investigators said they received intelligence that Surgising was involved in several boundary disputes with neighbors over his occupation of approximately 8 acres of state land in the Plantation Road area. And the latest murder victim is a 43-year-old man. Reports are Likram Pramlan was stabbed to death by a close female relative. The incident occurred this afternoon at William Street Enterprise in Chaguanas. 2021 closed with a total of 451 murders. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Trinidad and Tobago, meantime, is in dire economic straits, says one economist who who warns that if the state does not pay attention and take steps to fix the situation, it can spell danger for citizens. Nicole M. Ramani of TV6 News reports.
Inflation and the erosion of public spending power, the words used to encapsulate 2022 by economist Indira Sajiwan. Dr. Sajiwan says the government boasted about a windfall earlier this year, but in her view, the man on the ground did not reap the benefits.
We are going to be faced with higher rates of electricity, and while the government will argue, well, Trinidad and Tobago has the lowest rates in the entire region, and therefore and they can no longer afford the subsidy, and therefore people have to pay. But what are you doing in terms of giving people the capacity to pay? What are you doing as government to put policy in place to implement measures that can see persons' incomes increasing?
She notes the ongoing battle between public sector unions and the chief personnel officer and the huge disparity between what the unions demanded and what was offered. She also notes that water rates are expected to increase, that one telecommunications company raised some of its fees already, and that the finance minister maintains that property tax will be reinstated.
There is nothing that is being done to curb inflation, especially food inflation and the cost of things like home repair, basic things in order to maintain your homes. And there's two major issues that needs to be addressed. So that, again, unfortunately, we go into 2023 having to tighten our belts. I don't even know if it's possible. I don't even know if there are holes left in people's belts to tighten anymore.
Further, she says, crime impacts the performance of the economy and warns that it must be arrested before it can no longer be controlled. She lists brain drain as another critical factor, stating that most young people are left with no other option but to seek employment abroad. She says people are facing hard times and the state must act.
A parent goes into the bookshop. It's books or food. Books or food. Do I feed you or do I give you a book to read? Isn't it sad that the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, the mecca of the region, the oil and gas, we boasted of being, in terms of the world stage, the largest exporter of methanol, of ammonia. We boasted of so much. And here we are, books or food.
However, Dr. Sajiwan believes that all is not lost. She says more focus must be placed on manufacturing and food production. In its latest statement, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago says the global economy was faced with multiple headwinds in 2022. The spillover effect of the Russia-Ukraine war, a sharp slowdown in China, and widespread inflationary pressure dampened global growth. Supply shocks caused rapid increases in food and fuel prices, resulting in multi-decade high inflation in many countries. In response, many central banks tightened monetary policy. The latest available data from the Central Statistical Office put headline inflation at 6.2% year-on-year in September 2022, slightly lower than the 6.3% in the previous month. Food inflation was registered at 11.6%, while core inflation, excluding food items, measured 4.8% in September. The central bank adds that there is good evidence that financing for business expansion is improving. Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In other news, the Archbishop of Castries called upon St. Lucians to reflect as 2022 drew to a close with the coming on stream of 2023, a year of uncertainties. Lisa Joseph of the DBS News World has more.
As 2022 draws to a close, St. Lucians are being called upon to reflect and question whether as a nation they have responded to Christ's message of peace. Archbishop Gabriel Malzer made the call against the staggering crime rate that has besieged the island. According to the Archbishop, St. Lucia's social landscape has drastically changed and is unrecognizable from the days when a strong sense of family and community held the nation up high. When the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ was less about commercial gain. Turning away from the Christmas traditions and the message of Christmas, the Archbishop says, has brought the nation to the brink.
Then the toy guns was a must for the young boys in the community to entertain themselves in a game of cowboys and crooks. Regrettably today, our modern lifestyles leave much to be desired. We have quickly graduated from the toy guns to the fully loaded machine weapons, with the attendant consequences. 71 violent deaths to date in 2022 for a country such as ours is deeply disturbing.
Archbishop Malzer is advocating that St. Lucians change their disposition, embrace the Christian concept of brotherly love. Importantly, the head of the local Roman Catholic Church is urging a shift in the public mindset toward criminality.
Si pani sutiwes, ipani vole. If there is no enabler, there is no thief. I hereby wish to plead with those who turn a blind eye to our present scourge because of the benefits they receive from the proceeds of crime, namely parents, friends, spouses, and associates of those who are directly involved, to reconsider the response. Let us choose to work together at building a peaceful St. Lucia for our sake and for the sake of our children.
The Archbishop made the statements as he delivered the annual Christmas message. From the DBS News World, Lisa Joseph reporting.
5.3 million tourists visited the Bahamas from January to October 2022, which was an increase of 1.2 million for the same period in 2021. More in this ZNS News report.
The Central Bank of the Bahamas' monthly economic and financial developments report for November confirmed a robust rebound in the country's tourism sector that took a hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The report notes the number exceeds the 79.8% growth from the year prior, with the country realizing growth in all major source markets. In fact, arrivals for the year to October are up 341.5%, air arrivals are up 71.5%, and cruise arrivals are up 687.6%. For hotel properties, room nights have sold have risen 50%. The central bank report says in October, passenger arrivals by first port of entry grew by 570,154, up from 260,942 visitors in October of 2021. Sea arrivals increased to 484,480 from 204,067 the year before. Similarly, air traffic grew to 85,674, up from 56,875 last year, surpassing pre-pandemic levels, also reflecting 114.1% of air arrivals registered in 2019.
Ecuador and Colombia signed an agreement aimed at implementing a plan to contain drug trafficking and organized crime on their shared border.
Colombia and Ecuador share a porous border that stretches some 586 kilometers and where criminal gangs and illegal armed groups engage in smuggling and drug trafficking. The Border Protection Plan will carry out operations on an operational, tactical, and strategic level among operational units, as well as decisions to be agreed by both countries' defense ministers, according to the Joint Command of Ecuador's Armed Forces. The government of Colombia President Gustavo Petro in November called on countries with which it shares a border to work together on a military offensive against illegal armed groups. Colombia's border regions are home to extensive crops of coca, the main ingredient in cocaine, drug labs, and illegal oil refineries, as well as illegal armed groups with connections to Mexican drug cartels, according to security sources.
The Food Fair Shop and Win promotion is back, better than ever. We are giving away $30,000 in prizes with promotional activities you know and love, like find the misplaced items, spin the wheel, and other exciting in-store activities. You can win hams, turkeys, vouchers, cooking gas from Sol, and lunch packages from the Creative Chef. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 23rd, 2022. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.